Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's me again, Chelsea, and today I am bringing you my currently reading book list. Haha. Now, I don't know if anyone else is similar like me in the way of we start a book, we get distracted, we get bored, something new and shiny turns up, and we then start that. That is what I've done this year. So I filmed this video last year in October, but I thought I'd do it halfway through the year. We are in July. I thought I would do it now, so then I can see if this list goes down at all or if I just end up DNFing a load of books. I've also currently got this stacked in oldest, so the one that I currently started reading the longest time ago, to the most current one. So let's get started, because this might go on for a while. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I'm reading and then try and tell you a vague bit about it. As always, the books will be linked down below. Make sure you check that out, because as I haven't finished these books, my descriptions will be very iffy. So let's get into this. Okay, so the book that I started the longest time ago was this one, which is City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. I set myself the goal this year to read her entire backlog, as I have, as you can see behind me, all of her books up to date, near enough. I think I'm just missing the Dark Artifices trilogy. So this one I started a while ago with the hopes to try and obviously complete that goal, and I got to page 48 and I haven't picked it up since. So this is a well-known series. I'm pretty sure most people know what this is about. This is the first book and it follows Clary Frey, who is our main character. I know she's the main character for the first 6 books, but I don't know where we go from there and who we follow and where it goes. But in this first book is when Clary realises that there is another world, and where she is first introduced to the concept of shadow hunters, and they are the ones that go out and fight demons and all that fun stuff to try and keep the earth safe. I haven't finished this book. I have read the first and second book, I think maybe the third or part of the third in the series, but I wanted to reread these so I could finally carry on, because for some reason I just didn't. I think it was around the time that they did a cover change, so I got rid of my old covers, but it's fine. I don't know if we're going to read the whole of the backlog this year. Maybe this will be a continuing resolution that I'll continue into 2022, but I'll update you when I know more. The next book is another reread, and that is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. So I talked about this in my things that I need to continue, my series that I've currently started. So I have restarted this one. I have read the first book before, but then I left too big a gap between this one and Akamath, so I decided to reread it. We're following Feyre in this, and she unfortunately kills a wolf and it turns out to be a fairy, and then another fairy comes and collects her so that she can pay her debt back to them because he can't kill her. It's a very bad but pretty accurate description of the first couple of chapters within this book, and then we're following her through her time in the Fey realm. I just need to get past this now. That I think it's because I've already read it once that I'm just like, oh, it's a slog, I don't want to do it again. I did enjoy it when I first read it, don't get me wrong. I think I originally gave it 5 stars, then thought about it and went, no, it's a 4 stars. Knocked it down. But yeah, because I read it last year and the books that follow are quite chunky, maybe that's also why I'm dragging my feet a little bit. I don't know, but there's another one. The next book that I'm currently reading is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. The sequel to this, The Hawthorne Legacy, comes out in September. I have pre-ordered it, so I need to read this and get past this one so that I can just carry on into the next one. I don't know what's taking me so long. I'm on a really big YA thriller mystery kick at the minute. Maybe it's because I buried this next door, but I'm currently on page 73. So in this book we're following Avery, and at the point where I'm currently at, she has just discovered that she has inherited a billionaire's estate. And she's a bit confused because she hasn't met this guy, and it's really random, and the family are after her obviously because they're like, you stole our inheritance and all that fun stuff. None of that is spoilers, it's all on the blurb. But yeah, so I just need to pick this up. Also, this spine is just stunning. But yeah, I need to read this. I was really excited for this when I got it, which is why I started it. I'm pretty sure I started it almost immediately. And I just put it down. I obviously must have like come out of my YA thriller mystery kick, because I did have a massive kick to start with when I was reading Truly Devious and The Devil in the Dark Water, but I put this down, haven't picked it back up, need to pick it back up. Story of my life, really. Let me know in the comments down below if you are also someone who, like me, gets distracted, because this pile makes me feel a little bit queasy with how many books are on it, and it can't just be me. I can't be this much of like a magpie when I'm reading my books. Other people have got to struggle with this too, surely. The next one is also another reread, and it's chunky, and it is The Pro with the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I have read this. I read this last year, then I started doing a body read for this. I got to page 65 and then stopped. So am I going to continue this? I don't really know, because I have already read it and I was like, oh, I would like to reread it, but it's a heck of a book. It's chunky as heck, and I don't know if I do want to carry on with it right this second. I do want to do a reread of this, but I have got a lot of fantasy already on my list, and a lot of adult fantasy, I think, on this list and on my TBR list. So do I really want to reread this book? I don't know. I'm iffy about this. I really enjoyed this though. The fantasy element, the wyvern element, the different perspectives. If you love a multiple perspective fantasy with, I suppose, it's got sapphic romance in it. I really enjoyed this the first time I read it. I don't know. I need to sit and think about whether I want to DNF that or not. Not because I don't like it, but because I don't think I want to reread it when I've got so many other things that I need to read. The next book is another one I did for a body read. I started it, haven't finished it, and that's Truthwitch by Susan Dennard. I don't know, I'm a bit lost where I am currently. I think I need to push through. I don't really know if it's helping that I've got it on my Kindle. Sometimes I really struggle to kind of immerse myself in a book if it's in ebook format, and I don't know if that's just me being picky. I don't know, it could be. But from that book, from what I did enjoy the different characters. I did enjoy the different range of characters. So in this world, there are different kinds of witches, and we are following mainly two, and that is Saphia, otherwise known as Safi, and Iseult, and they are two different kinds of witches. Iseult is a thread witch, so she can see threads of people, so your threads show when you're anxious and when you're angry and all that kind of stuff. And Safi is a rare truth witch, so she can tell when someone is lying, and when a blood witch catches her scent, they both have to go on the run to try and escape him. And I like the premise of this book, and I think I will enjoy it the further in I get, but currently, I think that's a common problem with a lot of these books. When I hit like the 100, 150, 200 page mark, depending how big the book is, that's usually when everything starts picking up. But I commonly put books down when I haven't got to that point, because I go, and I find something else. So that's a habit I really need to kick in the butt, because it's not a good one to have. This next one, I actually think I got further in. Yes, I got to the 100 page mark, and that is A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. My problem with this book is that we're at 100 pages and I'm not too sure what the point is. So we are following Elle, and she is a very unlikable character, but she is currently in the School of the Scholomance, and the way the school works is that you kind of arrive and you just have to survive. So it's a school where you learn things, but as far as I'm aware, I haven't met any teachers. There are no structured lessons with a teacher in that way. It's kind of self-teaching, and you have to form alliances, and there are like demons. I don't really remember what the like collective term is, but they're like essentially demons that try and like kill the students off, and if the students aren't strong enough, they just get killed, and that's the be all and end all. So when you join the School of the Scholomance, your year group really shrinks by the time you get to graduation, and in graduation you have to fight your way out of the basement essentially, where loads of these things live, and they will try and kill you. And Elle Higgins is, like I said, unlikable, so she finds it very difficult to form alliances and to get anyone to actually like her, until she seems to form this weird alliance with one of the popular boys in her year, and all of a sudden everyone kind of wants to be her friend. So I'm interested to see how she uses this possible alliance to kind of protect herself, and to see how whether she gets out of the final test, but I obviously need to finish the book to find that out. The next book is another one that I think I should probably DNF, and that is Bone Crier's Dawn by Catherine Purdy. And I don't mean DNF it because I don't ever want to read it, I mean DNF it because I'm at this point and I read Bone Crier's Moon last year, like well over a year ago now. I'm a little bit baffled about where I'm at and why I'm there and who everyone is. I vaguely remember who people are and why they're there and where we're at, but I just don't have the motivation to carry on because I don't really remember the massive... It wasn't a massive cliffhanger at the end of the first book, but it was, when I read it, I remember going, oh, I could really do with a sequel. I'd really like to continue this. And now I have the sequel and I'm just not there. So in the first book we're following two perspectives. One is Sabine and one is Elise, and they are bone criers, and bone criers essentially are all women, and they're the ones that kind of call to the dead and ferry them into the afterlife. And I really like that premise. I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed the first book. I just, yeah, I need that kind of continuation, I guess, for this book, so maybe I just need to reread the first one and just DNF this and start again. I'm really not even that far. I'm like 4 pages in. Maybe that's another reason why I'm like, why am I reading this? Because I haven't got far enough into it to remember why. This one I talk about a lot in the fact that I got an arc for it and I was really excited, and I just never finished it, and that is Monstrous Design by Kat Dunn. I really want to read this. I have got, I don't even know how far because it's on my Kindle, I still haven't figured it out yet, but I have got to a point in that book where I am actually really enjoying it and it's picking up. I just have not picked it up since because, like I said, new shiny things, and I just need to, because I really enjoyed the first book, like I just said with Bone Criers, really enjoyed the first book, and now I need a kick up the butt to get these done. Let me know down below if you would be interested at all in a weekly reading vlog of me trying to finish books that I've started, because I really think I should probably get on and do that. This book, do you know what, I actually really love the historical element of this book. It's one of my favourite things. I really like, because there is a sapphic romance. Also, if you can hear the birds, I'm really sorry, they're really loud, but there is a sapphic romance in this book, which for the time period that this is set, I'm not too sure how common that would have been, but I really like how it's portrayed. I really like how just living in that time is portrayed, and I also like that this one is set across 2 countries, and we're seeing not only France in like the 1700s but England in the 1700s as well, so I really like that. So if you actually follow me at all, watch my reading vlogs, anything like that, you'll know that I have actually picked up this book recently, and I am a lot closer to the end than when I started that, and that is Altered Carbon by Richard Morgan. So I'm actually a heck of a lot closer to the end. I'm on page 282. I just need to sit down and finish this. I'm actually really loving this book. This is the second time I've tried to read this book. The first time I put it down because I was watching the TV show. I really struggle with watching TV shows of books I haven't read and then trying to read the book, and I was just picturing the show, and now it has been long enough that I've forgotten what the show is like, because I didn't finish the show either because I was like, I really want to read the book. So this is sci-fi. We are set in the 25th century. Yes, we are set in a time where death isn't actually a bad thing necessarily. So instead of being put in like a prison until you die, you get this magical disc that is already inserted in your spine at a certain age. You basically get that taken out of your body, which is called a sleeve, and you get put in a rack basically, and you sit there until your sentence is up. So you can go in there in, like, for argument's sake, you could go in there in 3050 the year, and you could come out in 3150, and everyone you know has died or changed sleeves, or obviously that depends on like your class level and the money that your family have. But I just really like this premise. I think it's really good, and we are following our main character Takashi Kovacs, and he is this thing called an envoy, and he is tasked with finding out who tried to kill this really expensive, never dying 300-year-old man. And that is what happens, and there's a lot of action, there's a lot of gore, there are some, you know, adult scenes. It is adult sci-fi, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I just need to finish it, and I actually think out of all of these books, this is one that I definitely actually will finish, and not DNF, which is good to know. I have not picked this book up for a very long time. Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I have tried to start this book like twice. This is the second time. I'm on page 34, not a lot is happening. This is when you are either categorised as a red or a silver. So reds are the common people and they are poor, and the silvers are the rich. And apparently silvers bleed silver, I think. But our main character Mare possesses her own deadly talent, and I haven't got to the point where we discover what that is yet on any time that I've tried to read this book. So I really should. I know that Becca from Becca in the Books loves this series. I'm not 100% sure if that's because it's a childhood series or because it's fantastic. I do know other people that have struggled with this series, so I don't know. I'm hoping I enjoy it. It is YA dystopian sci-fi fiction, which is like one of my favourite genres, depending on what mood I'm in, because it changes. Peaks and troughs, peaks and troughs. But yeah, so another one that I just need to get my butt in gear and try. Because I have the whole series on my shelf. You can just about see behind this glass. This is the whole, well, not the whole series, it's the books 2, 3, 4. I haven't got any of the novellas, but I'll buy them when I get to them. This book, I'm embarrassed that it's still on this list. Empire of Gold doesn't have the cover on it because I'm still currently reading it. And yeah, I am getting slowly further. 264 pages in. We are getting somewhere, not even halfway though. And that is because, as I say all the time about this book, I find that it's very hard to... It's not a book that I'm meant to pick up and put down, pick up and put down. It's a book you're meant to actually devote some time to and understand the politics and all of that fun stuff, and I'm just not giving myself the time to do that. So I need to just sit down with that book and read it. Because I want to know how it ends. I want to know where everyone's at. I want to know if everyone's okay. Not everyone's going to be okay. It's the end of a blinking trilogy, but I want to know how they're not okay. This book, another reread. Alice by Christina Henry. I started to reread this for Clear Your Shit as my creepy book. I did not finish it. I did not get that far. Again, I got to page 36. Seems to be a common number, gotta be said. And I am rereading this so that I can actually finally read Red Queen, which is the sequel to this book, and then I can move on to The Looking Glass. So this is an Alice in Wonderland retelling, and it's a retelling in the sense that Alice is actually thought to be insane. She is put in a mental asylum at the start of this book, and there is a massive fire, and her neighbouring cellmate called Hatcher managed to escape the fire, and this kind of sets him on a quest to discover what actually happened to Alice, because she can't remember and Hatcher can't remember what happened to his family, so they kind of bond together to, you know, try and figure out what happened to them. And it is dark, it is creepy. Check trigger warnings before you go into this, from what I remember, because there are a lot. Obviously we're talking a lot about mental health and sexual assault and death and murder and all sorts of other really weird and wonderful things, I guess, depending how you look at that. So check it out. I really rate Christina Henry. I think she's an amazing author, but obviously just be aware before you go into it. The next book that I've started is Traitors Blade by Sebastian de Castell. I started this again for Whateverathon because I thought I could get the extra points because it was Jade's favourite, and I didn't get very far. I'm currently reading it on my Kindle. It's alright. So far, we have met our main character. Can't tell you what his name is. Cannot remember for the life of me currently without the book in front of me. But, you know, we've discovered why him and his group of merry men have been exiled and the events that led to that. Very interested to see what they do and how they try and get their great coats back to being great again, I suppose. Or if they can. I don't know. But if I finish the book and actually continue with the series, maybe I'll find out. The next book is The Black Coast by Mike Brooks. This is a very tricky book to get into, like, as in just to get used to the writing, because it's written in a way that I am not used to, and that's okay. But it is kind of written in third person, where the people will talk about themselves, as in, like, they're in the first chapter, brother and a sister, and he will go, "Does that make your brother happy?" And he's talking about himself, and it's just a little bit jarring to me. But I will get used to it the more I get into this. But yes, I need to read this. The second book is officially out now. I'm on page 36. That is a very common number for me. Have we noticed that? Around the 30s is when I put a book down and don't carry on. Oh dear. That one I was interested in because it's got dragons in there somewhere. I need to find where the dragons are. The next book I'm actually slowly getting through, and that is The Hand on the Wall. Again, has no cover. You can kind of see where my hand's been. That's horrible. So this is the third book in the Truly Devious series. Can't tell you a lot about it. It's a sequel. Still following Stevie Bell. Still getting up to antics. Love that. I really love this series. I love following Stevie. I love seeing what she gets up to. The fact that somehow Maureen Johnson has managed to spread the case of what happened to Albert Ellingham's family across 3 books, to me, is rather impressive, because how am I still interested? I don't know, but I am, and we're slowly getting drip fed more and more, like, backstory about, you know, what happened to these people and where they are and all that fun stuff. So I'm a lot further in this. I'm on page 215. I'm not too far from the end. I'm hoping to finish this within this month. That would be really nice. I have only read 1 book in July so far. So that wrap up is going to be really, really good. The next book is a graphic novel, and that is Lock and Key Volume 4, which is Keys to the Kingdom. I am iffy on this series. The first book I really enjoyed. The second book I didn't enjoy as much. The third book got a bit better. The fourth book is all over the place again. So I don't know if it's the comic book style I'm not gelling with. I don't know if it's the writing style I'm not gelling with. There's something I'm not gelling with. But in this series we're following a family, and they have moved back to Lovecraft because their father was brutally murdered, and they're discovering these keys in this house, essentially. And it is really interesting. These keys all do different things. I'm not going to say what they do because I think that's more than likely a spoiler. But you can kind of get the gist from the names from the different volumes, which is pretty cool. I'm iffy about whether I'm going to finish this series. We'll see how the fourth one goes, and then we'll probably go from there. But yes, I'm enjoying them for the most part. The next book is another book that I want to finish in July, because it is essentially for a group buddy read, and that is Malice by John Gwynne. This is the first book by John Gwynne that I've read. I also own The Shadow of the Gods, but I think this is like the key point for you to start at. This is the first book in his first series. This is the Faithful and the Fallen series. There are 4 books in this series, I think. Again, multiple perspectives, which is what I love about this book. However, where I'm currently at, which is not that far, I'm on page 73, where I'm currently at in this book, you kind of have maybe 3 regular perspectives, one of which being Corbin, who is our main character, I guess, and he is a child. And then you get these like random people just dropped in, and I go, oh, do we know who this person is? No, we don't. And it's just kind of like that, and you just meet more and more people and get more and more perspectives, which I think really rounds out the story. It's kind of like Game of Thrones, in my opinion, like that, where you kind of get a gist of the whole world because you're reading from so many different perspectives based all around this world, which I actually really love. Yeah, I'm hoping to finish this month. I have a lot of reading to do, if I'm honest. I'm on page 700. No, I'm not. I'm on page 73 of a 600 odd page book, so need to pick up the pace on that one. And then finally, the book that I have started most recently is The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah Johnson. This one I am on page 58, so I'm still not that far in. We have had a big reveal already, which kind of made me go, oh, whoa, that's pretty cool actually. If you know, you know. But this is obviously a sci-fi. So this book is set in a world where we have discovered realities, and we have discovered 380 of them, and you can travel to these worlds as long as you yourself are dead in them. And our main character, Kara, is dead in all but 8 of them. And when one of her doppelgangers mysteriously gets murdered, kind of sets off a string of events. I'm kind of at that point where we're gonna figure out what these events are going to be that set off, but I'm looking forward to it. I have had a quick skim through and it looks like it's going to pick up an awful lot, which is great. I do like the fact that our main character, we are following her perspective, and I really like the fact that there are bits so far, like I said, I'm only 50 odd pages in, but there are bits dropped so far where you're kind of like, oh, okay, that's how that person acts in that reality, but in your normal reality they act like this. And I think that's actually mad. Like, imagine, like, she talks about her mum in some of these ones, and she's like, in some worlds she's like this, in some worlds she's like that, and in this world she's like a devoted religious woman, I guess, is what she is in this current life. And it just makes me think, like, how must that affect how you think of people? Because obviously you have seen them in so many lights, and not all of them are necessarily good. So yeah, that's the final book that I'm currently reading. Are we proud? No. There are so many books on this list. I'm hoping to actually get some of them read. I have a lot of books to read. I'm still really behind on my 21 books to read in 2021, but if it happens, it happens. A couple of these are actually on that list. Emperor of Gold definitely is. Malice definitely is. Red Queen by Christina Henry is. So if I read Alice, then I can move on to that one. I don't really know. I think City of Bones is. So there's a lot of crossover between this list and that list, which is pretty good. I know that my descriptions might not necessarily be the best. I don't really know if this is something that you're interested in watching. I just like filming this video because it actually holds me accountable, and, you know, makes, if anyone else out there is like me and, you know, just starts continually starts new books without finishing them, I kind of want you to know that you're not alone, because I'm like that, as you can tell. I don't know, I'm quite a chaotic reader apparently, and, you know, personally, I'm not someone who can just read one book until it's done, or until I DNF it and then move on. I switch between books continuously and often. So the people that can read one book at a time, or like can only read 2 books at a time but still manage to finish books, I praise you, because I can't do that. But I also quite like how I read, because I have the attention span of a toddler, I guess, and if something shiny comes along, I have to go to that instead. I also really struggle to like sit still and just read one thing, so if I read multiple things, kind of makes it easier. But enough about me. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, really supports me and my channel. Leave me a comment down below, a book you are currently reading, and are you enjoying it? If you are, good. If you're not, DNF that book. Life is too short. You do not need to read things you do not enjoy. And if you want to see more of me, please consider subscribing down below and ringing that notification bell so you get notified every single time I upload a new video. I currently upload on a Wednesday and on a Sunday, so be sure to stick around for more bookish content from me. But otherwise, that is everything for today's video. I really hope you're having an amazing day, and if you're in the UK, I hope you're not melting too much, because I certainly am. And I will see you next time in another video. Bye!